You got like oops.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Thrive and Edu party on Thrive O'Clock. How are you doing today, Rachelle?
I'm great because it's Friday. I get to see you. We have a fantastic guest. And it's been a week since I got to talk to you here. And because we didn't meet up here on Monday. And so I'm not going to lie, I was really sad on Monday. I was not in a good mood. And I realized that everybody needs some time with Melody in their day and this community.
Oh, you are so sweet. I do love this community. I actually was missing you today, and I'm like, that's crazy. I just talked to you on Monday, but really, we didn't have Monday. It has been a whole week. Our routine has been interrupted, and it threw me for a loop as well. I want to say congratulations. Your newest book is ready for pre-sale. It's coming out very, very soon.
Yep.
True stories. Wait, tell me. It's a long title. You say it.
What's your new book called? Lessons that one kid taught us.
Exactly. It's a beautiful story. I knew I was going to butcher it. I was going to butcher it all the way. So I'm so happy for you. Another person in our community who has something to celebrate is Jillian Dubois. I hope that's how she pronounces her last name. She just came out with an amazing book, Liv's Shells. I hope I didn't butcher that. Congratulations on that. Do we have any more shout outs, do you think?
We probably do, but we'll have to check. But if not, if we don't know of something, let us know. Drop it in the comments. Make a post. Let us know because we want to celebrate all the things that you're doing. And especially with so many things happening, it's nice to have like good news and things that are, I don't know, happening in your personal and professional lives, I guess.
Heck yeah, celebrating everything. And EST was this week and you're speaking tomorrow. And so for all the people in our community who are speaking or just attending EST, we are so glad for you. You can tell us anything that is amazing happening in the classes, you're taking or whatever. So that's something we're celebrating too. And another thing we're celebrating is our guest today. Can you tell us about our guest today?
Yeah, so our guest is Eric Sheninger, and Melody hid him for a while, but he is amazing. I'm thankful for him to join us today because I know he's been busy today and on a Friday. So welcome to our show, Eric.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah, and for anybody I'm going to tell my story because before we went live, we were talking about books too. So I have to tell you about the time that I read the digital leadership book. So I'm a classroom teacher. This is back in 2014, I guess, probably. And a friend of mine, not anybody in my area, but somebody that I had connected with, at conferences, was reading the book and they mentioned it and they said, oh, it's digital leadership. And I said, what's it about? And they told me very briefly. So I had only read, I think I'd read Teach Like a Pirate at that point. So I was looking for another book in the education area. So I ordered it from Amazon, got the book, was reading it, was taking notes. I have the notes here because I pulled them out, these little papers. And I think 2 months later, I hadn't finished it yet. And I was at a conference and everybody was going around doing icebreakers and saying, oh, where are you from? What do you do? What's the last book you've read or what are you reading? And I told them that I was reading your book. And I had like 3 or 4 people, they were all administrators. And they said, why are you reading that book? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just interested. I heard about it, And I said, well, what do you mean? Why am I reading it? And they said, because are you a principal? Are you an administrator? And I said, no, I am a classroom teacher. And it was awkward to me because I'm like, why are you asking me? But what I loved about the book is that it helped me to realize like, you don't have to be in one of those positions to be a leader. Like everybody has that responsibility. And I took so much away from that book and I was so excited. But at first I'm like, why? And why do I have to be some specific role for this book to have an impact on me? And what I love about that book and the other ones you've written, Learning Transformed. Sorry, I'm giving you the shout outs for the book, is that
I'll take it.
They are for anybody. They are for anybody. And like, it's interesting how there are so many books out there that were written years ago that are so relevant now because of the message that's being conveyed in them. And so I just wanted to make sure that I said that today. When I knew you were coming on, I was thinking back to that very awkward interaction for me with administrators. And I thought, I wish more teachers knew, like, yeah, you should be reading those kind of books because there's so much information. And I'm sorry, I'm like going really long on this, but that's what I love about those books is they are for anybody. Melody's just going to laugh at me.
Just so everyone knows, I did not pay Rachelle to say all those nice things. But, the irony here is, I'm not a writer. I'm not a speaker. That I was never trained to do that. And I think I'm one of a poster child for that. If you take some risks and if you believe in this case, what your teachers are doing, it makes it a lot easier to write a book and to speak. But, I think the practicality is so important. I mean, we want to focus on the why. We want to laugh. We want to cry. Yeah, that's great. But people want to walk away with something that they can do right now. So it warms my heart to hear that, because that was my goal. And sometimes walking away with something you do right away is not as exciting and as exhilarating as you want it to be. But you need that.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry that I was laughing. It was just that when you were talking, Eric, I didn't know if he was yacht, and he just like that. And it just, I need to laugh for crying out loud. Okay. It was funny.
I definitely was not yawning. So
I didn't think so.
Comfortable on the couch here in the garage.
Oh,
I love that. And Rachelle actually is the one who introduced me to your work and everything. So I thank you, because I just read your latest blog, and what really captivated me right at first was just your ability to reflect. And you are a leader, and you have done amazing things. Like it would make a lot of us intimidated, right? But I can tell that you're just plain folk, like regular people, like all of us. I hope, you know what I mean? Like you're down to earth, and also you're in Texas, so you must be, if you have friends.
Well, but I'm not originally from Texas. I'm from New Jersey. My wife's from New York City, so we lived in New York City for 13 years, and then we moved to Texas. Really interesting story, and this is sort of an FYI to anyone out there. Don't take a picture when you're working in Hawaii and send it to your spouse who's digging out a foot of snow in Staten Island, New York. That's a recipe for either A, you go back and being a principal so that you're here to shovel snow, or move somewhere where it doesn't snow. That's why we're in Houston.
Exactly. I left Missouri for Texas for the same reason. I hated the winters. And now I live in Alaska. It doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. Life doesn't have to. But what I loved about your last article was just your ability to reflect. I mean, and I think right now we're all kind of in that point where everything is about reflection, and you offer some good points for remote teaching. And a lot of that is just from failing. You were in front of a crowd and you had to step back. You're like, I'm boring these people. And you got some feedback that wasn't great. So I really appreciated that article.
The thing was, I got that feedback on Twitter afterwards because no one stopped me, and they're all just like during the presentation. So I'm like, yeah, I'm rocking it. I'm doing great. Then Twitter was blowing up and basically said, no, you stink. You're a loser. You shouldn't have done it. But it was one of those things that, I think that we have to be open and honest about both our strengths and our weaknesses, and understand that whether it's personal or professional, there's always room to get better. And we need to work on that. And also, it's not about having all the answers. I see so many writings which say, do this, do that. And I try to really write and speak from a sense as, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not the expert. I'm here to get you to think about what you do. And I think that's a lesson that can apply no matter what we're doing, whether it's education or grilling, or I have hibachi in my backyard here in Texas. So I'm always getting feedback. I remember one of my son's friends is like, Mr. Eric, where's the show? And I'm like, I did the show. I threw the shrimp. I had the hat on. I'm doing this. I'm cracking eggs. He goes, your show is not as good as Benihana. And I've now been really, really working on my show. So, but you have to be open to that feedback.
Yeah. And also that you're not going to please everybody. Seriously. There's always going to be somebody that says you didn't do it great enough. And they're going to tell you too.
Yeah, but I think we're all at that point where we wanted to please everybody. And I think, I know I was. And I think we all get to a point where we have to realize that when it's all said and done, you got to be the best iteration of yourself. You got to help people be the best iteration of themselves. And you can't control what's going on in other people's minds or lives. And that's true whether you're in a classroom, whether you're in a building, a district, at home, doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's when you say the word iteration, that made me think back to when I was reading, because I didn't know what that word meant when I read the book. In reflection, I was never that good at it either, but it's something that's so important. And I think I kind of just fell into it because somebody said, well, what do you do to reflect every day? I'm like, what does that even mean? And so then now I have my own podcast where I talk to myself, but it works. I mean, it's really good for me to do that. So.
And I think on your point about big words, that's why I love Google, because Google helps me look smart with big words. And but I've gotten feedback to stop using big words. Back to your point, Mel, you can't win.
Can't
Some
win.
people want big words, some don't. I mean, that's why you gotta when it's all said and done, you gotta ultimately teach, learn, and lead in ways that first and foremost will work well for you, but secondly, that will work well for those who you serve.
Yeah, and another thing when you were saying about you can't please everybody, I know, I noticed that the listening lips is even with teaching or presenting too, right? When we go to conferences, or if we're students in a classroom that we're taking a class in or something, it's like, do you want the person to just talk at you? And so you can kind of do your own thing and you're kind of listening, you're getting your PD, but you're doing your own thing, or do you want them to interact with you? And so how many times have you done a presentation where people say, all they did was talk to me, or there wasn't any interaction involved? And then whenever people tell you to move, or like in our classrooms too, all right, everybody's comfortable, now everybody can move over here. And you're like, but I was comfortable over here. Why are you making me move? Can't win.
Yeah, and I'll add listening to that as well, because I'm constantly reminded by my wife. It just happened right before we came on air. Apparently, she told me something yesterday, and I was not listening. And I admit, I really thought I was. I really don't think she told me this case, but many times I'm not listening, and I'll own up to it. But I think you're right. When we look at what, the experience that we create, whether it's in our classroom, whether it's with during a presentation or workshop, or even when we entertain, which, as you both know, I'll be doing momentarily outside. It's that experience and, getting input, letting people have a voice, and being reflective and understanding that it's not that one right way to do something. So.
Yeah.
Melody. I love that. And actually, I needed this. If I hadn't put these in, I would have already talked. So I needed that. And I think listening is super key right now. And these are my listening lips, which is ironic when you think about listening. But, and there they went. There went my thoughts. But everything that you said is so right on. And I read another article today, because I'm one of those people that just reads all the time. And it was talking about remote learning. And the basic thing that will never change is that relationships will always keep bringing your students back. And no matter what you do, whether you fail, whether you do it just, 100% perfect, if that relationship piece is missing, what do you have? You're not going to have as much as you're going to have if you have those relationships. I was not eloquent in any sort of way when I just said that, but I thought it was true. I think the relationships are the most important.
It was a good point. And I will add to that, without trust, there's no relationship. Without relationships, no real learning occurred. And we can apply that both personally and professionally. And, it's such an important lesson. And in this remote world, we've heard over and over again, Maslow's before Bloom's, which, is important. But it's really, okay, well, let's put the pedal to the metal and let's really work on what are those strategies that we are utilizing to build those relationships, such as brain breaks, opportunities for movement, personal reflection, voice, choice, path, pace, place, chunking our content delivery, infusing relevance, all different types of things that also play a big role in our personal lives as well, as we think about that balance.
Heck yes. Yeah. Okay. I feel like my brain's overloaded. I want to go lighter. Can we do that?
Well, we're only responding to your questions and topics. So
I know.
Bring on the lightness. Let's go.
It just,
I know, right?
Melody, so no box of candy, no box of 80s candy. Okay. I can't do the 80s candy today.
No trivia, nothing. Like, I want to talk like this. I'm such a weirdo because I am isolated. I'm not going to lie. I don't have a ton of friends around here. So when I talk with people like live with you guys, you poor things, I have like gone back. I have regressed in my communication skills, and it's obvious to the whole world at this point. But you said before this, you're living your best COVID life. So I want to ask everybody, and Jennifer's watching. I want to say hey to Jennifer. What is keeping you sane? Like you're kicking butt and teaching, even though you're not. But what is keeping you sane today? Are you listening to good songs? I really want to know, because I have had just a crazy week, and I promise you that I'm generally pretty even keel. But this week I have felt all the emotions. My poor husband, he has no idea what to do. So what is keeping y'all sane? Living your best COVID life.
Rachelle, you want to go first? Or you want me to tackle this one head on?
Either way, I could go or I could wait.
Ladies first.
All right. So what's keeping me sane is something that I thought would not keep me sane, and that's watching Netflix and watching The Office, because Melody made me start watching The Office. So that has been kind of my escape. And I've been falling asleep at like 1 a.m, and I wake up and it's gone like three seasons. So that is helping because it's lighthearted. And then making sure I practice my guitar or attempt to practice my guitar. A year later, I'm really not that good, but it's okay. I'm trying.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it's an accomplishment that you have got on Netflix. Like, my God, like, yay, welcome to the modern times. And Jennifer says, quiet time in my car while my kids are cruddy. I hear you on that one. Jillian says, hey, we were just talking about you, Jillian. Congratulations on your book. You'll have to hear when we gave you a good shout out. But okay, how are you living your best COVID life? And everybody who is watching, please share.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, it was an adjustment period just being home. And I mean, I averaged 250,000 miles in the air a year. Wow. And it was a lot of not being home. So a lot of it was adjusting to how much I appreciate being home. So, obviously I've been spending so much time with my family, which has been fantastic. And what keeps me sane is keeping my wife happy. So every time that cheer go off my kids, I'm driving, and here's what I know. Even when I'm having a bad day, I keep my mouth shut. And I've learned that does me well when I just keep my mouth shut. However, other things is I've tried to learn new things. And, I love charbroiled oysters. I never had them until I got down here in the South. In the Northeast, we eat them raw. But you get a nice big Gulf oyster, and I would go and pay a lot of money to eat these things. So you know what? I'm like, I'm going to learn to do it myself. So I went on Amazon. I ordered myself a shucking kit. I got on YouTube, and I watched a video over and over again. And I got the recipe from my favorite restaurant in New Orleans, and I made my own charbroiled oysters. And I'll tell you right now, I'm an identical twin. My twin lives in Houston as well. He will bring bushels of oysters to my house so that I can cook them. Now, here's the problem. It takes time to shuck oysters. Okay. So it gets to the point where you go from being sane to insanity. Then, I had my friends over a lot because I never got to really hang with them. And we love utilizing Alexa out on the patio. And I'm a big 80s fan, but we will mix it up. We will we'll listen to hair metal. On last Friday, we were jamming to 90s and early 2000s dance music. And
yes,
that's what keeps me sane. But goes back to those relationships and just enjoying life. And I think what keeps me sane, another thing I heard Rachelle say, 1 a.m. What keeps me sane is I go to bed at 10 p.m. Wow. Every night. And here's why. Because I need my beauty rest, which I didn't get when you're just having a very crazy time on the road. So, but yeah, it really has been awesome to be home, to try new things, I'm not going to say that I was a bad husband or a bad father, but I've gotten better. And a lot of that has to be with the fact that I'm here and just appreciating, because COVID is rough. My mother-in-law lives with us in an apartment that we built in the house. So we have to basically self-quarantine all the time, but it's just enjoying the little things, which we realize aren't that little when we get older.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Elizabeth says a great response, Eric. And I'm pretty sure she was talking about when you zipped your lips. And Jennifer says taking a walk is another good one for when the weather cooperates. Definitely, definitely. And I noticed when you're saying like the routines that we have, I realized that my routine was killing me. And Elizabeth says for the bedtime, yes. It's weird because I just realized one day, wow, you haven't moved very much today. And I haven't been able to sleep. And so I think that is definitely connected because my sleeping is completely off at this point, even though it's dark most of the time here. And so I think really being aware of your routine is key, but I love everything you're saying about, being with your family. Those are things that I think I took for granted too. And I have a big family. I have 5 kids, and there are times where I don't appreciate that. I still feel like isolated, but because I'm so used to being around lots of people. And but I have a gift right in front of me, and I don't think I always see it that way, to be honest.
Yeah, and I like Jillian's response because I forgot to mention that I am a craft beer aficionado, and yes, so rum and for me craft beer definitely helps keep us sane.
Oh, my mom said playing pickleball.
Oh, that sounds good. Right. Well, Marianne, something you're going to have to teach me.
Yeah, when she's making the hash brown casserole, and we have some pickleball competition. But you're right. Like, first of all, Eric, 250,000 miles in the air. Like I know that's unbelievable to me, especially just because I didn't fly for 21 years. And I got so used to going to different conferences. I mean, not just the travel. I got used to like, oh, it's kind of fun to travel, but seeing the people and all of those opportunities coming up. But with COVID, what I noticed, like in my own neighborhood, when I get to go out, when, like Jen says, the weather cooperates, go for a walk, it's like families are outside. They were doing outside projects, they're decorating, they're doing things together. And I think a lot of people, like, that was the plus side, and it's something that's very negative and, nobody wanted to deal with, is looking, what is the bright side of this? What can I take away from this? And it's really appreciating like what's in front of you, like Melody said.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I love being home. I really do.
Right.
And it's a different type of work, both personal and professional, but I wouldn't give this up for anything. And I think that, when I look back, we've had more family dinners and conversation in the past 8 months than we had the past 6 years, just because of our crazy schedules.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's incredible. That's incredible just for it to happen, but also to say that out loud. Like that's pretty amazing.
Well, but it's true. I mean, everyone's busy. My kids are very busy. My wife's busy, but it's now we're building new routines and traditions, which came in the face of crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I think it's incredible. Like, I know how hard that is. So and sometimes it's not easy too, especially when you're so used to being busy and coming together. Like you have to work on that, Yes. Well, and another thing that we do every Friday at Thrive O'Clock is we talk about our sweet and sour. And so we're getting to that time, and I've loved how much interaction is happening right now. So tell us the sweet and sour of your week, and we'll start with the sweet. Who wants to go first and tell us the good things that happened this week? Or just in life. You can tell us any good thing. It doesn't have to be just this week. That's arbitrary.
I think you should go first, Melody.
Okay, I'll go first. I actually, what is the first thing? You know what? I will say the sweet. I had to, one of my friends from the Dallas area contacted me to do career day with her class, with her middle schoolers, and other professionals had canceled at the last minute. So I got to speak to like 4 different classes today. This morning, that was my first thing. Obviously, it was already afternoon for them, but it was morning for me. So that's how I started out my day. That was really sweet. I got to read my story to them, and we talked about that and Alaska life. And it was just, I missed that interaction with kids. So that was really incredible. It was a really good way to start the day. How about you guys?
Well, my son got 100 on his physics test.
Wow.
Hey,
that's awesome.
Hey, that's cool.
I got D's in physics.
And I mean, it looks like he's going to end his second marking period, 10th grade, with straight A's again. So that's definitely sweet.
Yes, it is. Congratulations to him.
Wow.
I didn't even take physics.
My wife and I look at each other and we don't know how we have a kid who's number 3 in a class of 862 kids, because
Wow.
that was just not us. But hey, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Wow,
congratulations
that's
to him.
fantastic.
That is a major achievement. Dang, so
It
cool.
sure is.
Jennifer says, and I'm trying to put it up. She says she finished writing her book. It was amazing feeling her sleep tank was running on empty this week. Very tired. So sorry
Congratulations
to
on
hear
the
that.
book, Jennifer.
Yes, congratulations. And I feel like now that just reminded me, she signed with Match, I believe, which we are a part of,
Yeah.
Rachelle and I. So cool. Welcome to the family, Jennifer. And that is a major sweet. But all right, Rachelle, it's your turn. Was there anything good that you want to talk about?
Yeah. The day that I got my proof copy of my book, That One Kid, true story, That One Kid,
Yes.
because of the cover, because it's a student who did the 2 other covers, and Julie Woodard. So kind of collaborative effort there, even though neither one knew they were collaborating, but what it represents, and being able to see the picture, and my friend John that's in it, who's kind of like ended up being like that one kid, and all of the stories of, I think there's 35 educators in it. So I'm just excited, not because of my story, it's about all of the other stories. So it's a good feeling to, when you hold the book in your hand, you're like, oh my gosh, finally it's here. So that was definitely my
Yes. I love it. That was part of mine too, celebrating with you. And Jillian says, she started with the sour. Her toes are cold. Yes. So she started off with her sour. What are some sours? Does anybody else want to share? And her sweet, she can't wait for Rachelle's book. And also she has a book that just came out. I am so happy for her. Her dreams have come true. But now your toes are cold, Jillian. Are there any sours that we want to share together in this moment?
I got one. My daughter told us this week she wants to quit competitive cheer, and we're not. And then there were some 8th grade girl drama in the lunch yesterday, which just did not make us happy as parents. So that was the sour. But you know what? When you're a parent of teenagers, you know that there's going to be a lot of sour, and you just got to get used to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have,
It's
how many
rough.
teenagers? Do you have 2 teenagers right now?
Yep. Just 2.
Yeah.
Tough ages.
Yes, I know. My husband and I were having a conversation today. Like, we're going to have 4 teenagers at one point. Like, what we're experiencing now with our oldest is nothing. Like, we better start rolling with it, because more is coming. More is coming. This is where it's at. But yeah, I can definitely see how that would be a sour. I'll just say my sour. I really do feel like, just because of the pandemic and being isolated, I just feel like my emotions are a little bit they're just weird. Like, I don't like this feeling of sometimes not being able to control. Like, I'll be laughing one minute and then I'll cry in the other. I'm like, what in the world is wrong with me? Like, this is not me. But I just feel like, because my normal go-tos they're just not there anymore, and I just can't escape and go places, and so that's my sour for this week. It just really hit me kind of hard.
Yeah. I don't have a sour. I had a slight sour on Monday when I didn't think that I was going to be able to get my fingerprints, and I was like really not happy because I needed them. But I don't actually. I was in a funk on, I think, Tuesday. I was in a really bad mood. Everything was just like, I just felt terrible, and it's not a good feeling. But once I got to school and the kids started to come in, and then we played the Among Us version of Gimkit, and it was a lot of fun. So that totally changed it. So that, I guess, was my sour.
I love that. Well, that's great. No, I love that you guys have so much fun in your class. That's really awesome. We're getting close to our time. Do either one of you have any, and Eric, please, because every time you say something, we're just so, no, really though, I really like how you're talking real life. I really do. And my first time meeting you, this has been a great time to hear your reflection. So before we go, is there anything that you want to share with us? Any last thoughts?
Yes, very important one. Right outside my doorway is my craft beer fridge. If I showed you what it looked like, many of you would be jealous, and I'm going to rip that open very soon because it is Friday. I got nothing to add. Listen, we're all trying to make the best of it in these difficult times, and I think you do that with humor, but being honest about where we are. And I just appreciate the opportunity just to be able to talk real and authentic and personal, and just say things how it is, because I think that's really, really important with all the stress that we have now. But I got to thank you both for really creating that environment to do so.
Well, thank you. It's great to have you here, and we made it. Melody didn't put anything besides the listening lips, so it's good. And you can go run out to that, outdoor space that's waiting for you. And I think I'm going to take a quick nap and then see my parents for dinner, which I'm excited about. So,
hey, that's another thing you just said, keeping sane. I love naps.
Yeah, I took a lot of naps this week.
My nap schedule has really gotten an upgrade since the pandemic. So
yeah, I need to, because I'm watching The Office till 1 a.m. So
I'm gonna drop off, ladies.
All right, thanks, Eric.
Stay safe, and thanks for what you do,
Bye,
everybody.
and
Thanks.
you too. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
See you on Monday.